All right.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah, really, it's straightforward, but it gets the point across. And the point of the assignment is to make sure that the mechanics, the movement, and the translation, and the transfer of balance between one foot to the other foot. That's really the assignment. So, sure, you can put a bunch of bells and whistles, but you can put bells and whistles and not achieve the assignment. But you've totally achieved it. It looks totally great. Like the upper body looks fantastic. There's just enough amount of motivation on the screen left hand, the black hand, when he folds it up at the very end and then brings it down. Because otherwise, then they just look like dead noodles, kind of like, coming across. I point that out because it's a nice accent. It's a nice bit of business or detail that it's nice to add, in addition to just the regular mechanics of something. Like if I move like this, right, and my arm is just limp, it's just going to follow through kind of like a ponytail, right? That's sort of the follow through that happens. But our arms are motivated not only by overlap and follow through, but also motivated by the movement that our minds drive, our arms. So in that little bit at the very end, when you do drive your arm instead of follow sort of just a dangling motion, it brings the character to life in just that small amount of movement. I don't know if you did it on purpose or if it was a happy accident.
I did it on purpose. She was on the video, so.
Perfect. See, I mean, there you go. There's a really, I want to point out a good example of observing your video reference. There's a reason you did that, because literally you were doing the reference, you're stepping to the side, but at some point, after you're shooting that reference, your mind motivated your arm to do that quick movement to kind of catch itself, or whatever it was that motivated it. It was driven by your mind. It wasn't driven by just physics, right? Just an action like the wind blowing or something. It was driven internally. And so it's those types of small little details that when you see that in video reference, that's the kind of stuff you want to like, ooh, make a note of that. I want to add that, because that will give it that extra push to believability. Something like when you purposely do that and it's not an accident. So I kudos to you for observing it and adding it, because it does add a lot, even though it doesn't look like it, it does. The other thing, that the hands and the fingers look great. Thank you for posing those out. Like I've said, I'm a big stickler for hands and fingers. Now, the only thing, there's a couple of things. A couple of rotations on the ankles that just feel a little bit broken, like just feel a little bit too extreme. And actually, this is across the board. I'm going to give this note to all three of you guys, because I noticed it in all of your assignments at one point, where you rotate, you keep your foot flat, but you extend the foot. And so you create this like peak on the ankle that just looks like it's broken a little bit. I'll point it out when I walk through it. And then the other like note that I have is, right now you have the character really going down and coming up. I would sort of not bring him down quite as much. I would just inch him up a little bit, and I wouldn't say half the distance, but maybe instead of going this far of a distance, go this far of a distance.
Okay.
And again, I'll draw it on top of it. But overall, really great job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Alrighty. So here's my first note right here. See the screen, right? Yeah, you see how it just feels like it's a little bit too extreme. Now, an easy way of solving that is if you literally rotated the ankle in this direction, then you wouldn't see the back so much. It would be like this, so the back would be back there, and then you get this nice little straight line that goes across here, right? And you wouldn't get that pinch that you're getting here.
It's funny because like it's like the foot to give me the like foot would give me like the most problem. Like I tried it like several times. She to get it right, and like each time, like it's like there's like my foot is changing action at the same time when it's.
So your foot is actually doing this, right?
Yeah, but not broken, obviously.
Well, but you know why, right? Like, it's because this probably is the right way of animating it, but because our model doesn't deform properly, this is at the level where you probably posed it right, but when you look at it as a model, which is what we're doing, we're not animating a real model. This is a very simplified version of a human character, and because of that, then you get limitations. You get limitations. Obviously, you have pause, so you can't do much more than this, right? So those are the limitations you have to work with. So obviously, when you're shooting reference, you're not shooting reference like this. You're shooting reference like a normal hand. So then you have to translate what you have in video reference and apply it properly to whatever limitations you have in a model. And in this case, what we're talking about is the ankle. So the ankle limits you to how much of a rotation you can give. So sometimes you have to cheat it. Sometimes you have to rotate it in a different direction, or not as much as you have in your video reference, in order to make it work with the 3D model. So, you know, it's always going to be a back and forth. And like I said, this is going to be a blanket statement because I noticed it in everybody's work. It wasn't just you. So it's clearly, if everybody's having an issue, this isn't an issue for someone specific. It's a model issue.
Yeah.
So it's something, again, just wrapping your head around it, because this is a good lesson sort of in general. In different work environments and different projects, you will have limitations in your models. So this is just a learning experience. Like, okay, well, this is the limit on this model. The next time you work on something, you might work with a different model that has a different limit. But then you know, okay, well, now I can cheat it this way, or I don't have to do that, or whatever. Do you know what I mean?